Testing. Great. Kali G. Okay. Let's change this. What? Oh, I see. Okay, I'm just trying to get this ChatGPT window. Okay, and great. We've done it. All right, let me move this over here. Damn it, what have I just done? No! Oh, I just messed it up. Okay, chat, remove that. YouTube live control panel. I want to put that, fuck, bro. Okay, let's try that again. Ducks, scene transitions, remove. Scenes, remove. And the audio's gonna be fine. We're gonna make that nice and tight here. And then we get, let's try again, YouTube live control panel. Nope. Okay, whatever, that's fine. Ay. All right, hold on. Why are you doing this? Why? Reset docs. Resetting the UI will hide additional docs. You'll need to unhide these docs. Great. Reset. Total reset. Okay. Now, docs. Remove scenes. Don't need it. Docs. Remove transitions. Don't need it. Chat. Okay. Now fucking put it in there, bro. Great. Come on. I wish you could see what I'm doing so that you could be frustrated with me. Fuck off. See, you're saying that you're great. Excellent. Done. Okay, now. Don't I want the control panel? I think I do, bro. And we'll put it here, bro. Boom. Make it nice and tight. No, gotta be tighter than that. Fuck! Okay, bro. No worries. I don't really need that. Okay, great. Okay, now, one more piece. Can we get this ChatGPT window to go next to OBS so I can see everything at once? Perfect. Excelente, bro. Exa-frickin-lente. Doesn't need to be pretty, whatever. All right, so a couple of things I want to do. One, I want to finish this. Okay, so this thought that I'm having here. Okay. All right. So you ever ask someone something for something? Okay, you're not going to notice it when you've done it, but or maybe you have. Have you ever seen someone else ever asked you for something and been really aggressive about it for no reason? And you thought, oh, are they being aggressive about it because they don't feel like they're request without the aggression is justified. And so in order to sort of justify it in there, I'm going to give you an example. You're not following, I'm not explaining it well, that's fine. I want to make up an example, but I can't, I'm not thinking of one right now. So, yesterday, my girlfriend and I, we get home and we have a meeting about logical fallacies and stuff that's going to start in about 45 minutes. And we're not ready for it. I haven't researched the logical fallacies that I'm going to be explaining, and she hasn't done hers. As we're walking up to the house, something kind of funny happens, and we've been talking about doing sketches and making little videos together. And one of the videos that we want to make is a compilation of sort of mousy behaviors that especially a lot of women might do in order to, avoid getting in trouble. But it's like over the top, accommodating, whatever. So we have this moment outside the house where I realize that I've forgotten something in the car. And so I stop. She was behind me. I stop so I can move out of her way so that she can go into the house and so that I can go back to the car and get what I had forgotten. I explained to her, I forgot something. And I would have expected her to, kind of offer to go back to the car, right? And I would roll my eyes. Nope, I got it. I'm just letting you know so you can, keep going, walking the house. Or that she was between me and the car, but like right next to me. So I might have also expected her to sort of quickly get out of my way so that I could go in the car, but I'm not in a rush, so that's not necessary. But she didn't do either of those things. Instead, when I said, I forgot something in the car, so I'm going to go back, I don't even think she said anything. She just, maybe, okay, and calmly walked to the front of the house. Didn't quickly try to get out of my way and didn't act like I was telling her to go back to the car. It was beautiful. It was great. And so I thought, oh, well, this is perfect. Can we film that and then also film, what I was surprised to not see? So then we would have those two examples of the very over-the-top accommodating behavior of quickly going, oh, do you want me to? Or of, oh, okay, sorry, I'll get out of your way so you can go back to the car. And so we're filming, and she doesn't really kind of watch herself a lot. So if you, anytime, and it hasn't been often, but if I ask her to like do what she did again, like, and notice it, she'll just do something completely like wildly different. So we do 2 takes. Okay, the second take is good enough. And then we're doing what she actually did, the cool, calm, and collected, carrying on her business thing. Except she wasn't really doing it. She was like, instead of just walking past me and going to the house, she's turning to me going, okay, so I'm going to go into the house now because I've got things to do. So I'm going, and she's kind of looking at me for approval because, I'm directing this shot. But that's the opposite of what she had done when she had gone in. Anyway, so I'm explaining this, and I say, okay, let me act it out. None of those details are necessary. Just wanted to have you experience the moment with me. She interrupts me as I'm acting it out, and she says, come on, man, this is a waste of time. We have the meeting to get ready for. This is what I'm talking about. So that's the example. One could say, oh, you know what? Let's do this later. Let's do this another time. I got to get ready for the meeting. let's go inside and get ready for the meeting, whatever. And it's chill, it's cool. She didn't. Why not? Why did she call that thing a waste of time? Does she believe that it's a waste of time? I don't think so. It's possible, and she can tell me that. I don't think so. I think there is a bit of feeling scrutinized, feeling like you're under a microscope, feeling like I want to showcase everything that's wrong with her. That's not how I see it. I see it as there are a lot of, especially women, who make themselves small, who do these like over-the-top accommodating things, but don't really see themselves doing it. And I think it would be cool to do a compilation. Sarah's on a journey where she is doing less of those things. So for me, it's an act of celebration, and it's also an act of education. But yeah, the way that Sarah is, she might see it as, yeah, I'm just trying to showcase her flaws. So that's one thing that's going to make her be a little bit sort of more aggressive, a little bit meaner because she feels attacked. Okay. Even with that, so the other piece, I think, is that I don't think she felt legitimate to say, hey, let's not do this. Let's instead do this other thing. I don't think she felt like she had a right to say that. Now, she does have a right to call me out for wasting time, right? So basically, it's going from, I want to object to this act, moving from that to, that is an objectionable act. It's not me. It's not me just objecting, because maybe I have the right or not to do that. But this is, everybody can agree, this is like an objectionable act. It's interesting. One of the biases that we learned about in that meeting yesterday was from someone else, not from one of us, was the false consensus bias. And I'm seeing a connection here. The false consensus bias, or the consensus bias, is the idea that whatever you think, whatever I think, is what any normal, reasonable person would think. Okay? That's a good one, by the way, to know. So it's rather than making it, oh, this is my opinion, which might be weak, which you could easily shoot down, I'm presenting just a general, anybody would agree that this is a waste of time. Okay, anyway. So and this does feel like a waste of time. I have so much other stuff I want to talk about. That's okay. So, so rather than saying, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's go do the meeting. Let's do this another time. We have to instead kind of be mad about it. We have to instead characterize it as a waste of time and be like, this is bad. Look, my request must be legitimate because I'm displaying anger. And the first time I ever noticed this thing was years ago, not with Sarah, with someone else. Wow, 10 years ago. Anyway, I'm not going to get in that example, but so I hope I've explained it well enough where, and maybe you'll notice it in the future. Someone will be just like over the top with their request. And it seems like it might be because they don't think that they could have just made their request. Okay, so I want to get ChatGPT's input on how we can name this. So there's the interpersonal move of making an angry justification for a shaky request. So a defensive moralization of a preference or a request, and then like rationalized anger used to legitimize a request. So you can have a simple need of like, let's go inside and do it, but then instead it's, this is bad what we're doing. So the need request feels too vulnerable, unjustified, selfish, bossy. That's a big thing, right? Because the profile that we're talking about is terrified of being bossy, of being a bitch or whatever. And so, yeah, it has to be like, oh, just a really like justified, but in the sense of something that just is causing anger in the person to like as a proxy for justification. So, but the need/request feels too vulnerable, unjustified, selfish, bossy, or likely to be rejected. So the mind upgrades it, upgrades the request to, actually, this is not just like a thing that I would prefer. You are actually doing something wrong, or this activity is objectively stupid, or yeah, I'm not making a request. I'm responding to your transgression. And obviously, making a request is always asking a little bit more, is always needs a little more justification than just dealing with someone else's bad behavior. Okay? So then that upgrade gives the person permission to speak with force. Okay, so what are some related existing terms? Let's see whether we even need to make a new term. So rationalization, of course. So generating a reasonable sounding justification for a feeling, action, or desire, often to reduce discomfort or preserve self-image. So in my examples, it goes from I want something to I am correcting a wrong. Okay? Hey, I'm not... Well, I've explained it well enough. There's also the cognitive dissonance reduction. So the dissonance might be... Right, so that's what I had explained in my initial question. So whenever you have cognitive dissonance, you have these competing ideas, right? Competing realities. So maybe you have, like, this activity, like the filming that we were doing is fine. And then the other belief is I want to stop this filming. And that might seem to conflict. I have no right to want to stop a thing that's fine, bro. What's up? Wait, don't touch anything. What's up?
Connected? Okay.
Yeah. And I can see it on here. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's like, right. So just rewinding a little bit. So there's this dissonance. This is what we're looking at here between filming is a fine activity. Therefore, I would have no reason to object to it, but I want to object to it. So what do? I'll say that filming is not a good activity, and then I'm going to feel justified in objecting to it. Now, you might be wondering, well, but don't you know you're lying to yourself? No, and that's one of the things I want to talk about. But the mind, and we're going to read about it here as well, but the mind isn't this like singular thing where it knows all of itself. There is not an it. Well, there are many its. That's why I call them its. So the mind is not singular. So I should be saying like they when I'm talking about the mind. So no, they don't know. Not each part of the mind. Each part of the mind doesn't know what all the other parts of the mind is doing. Okay, so there's a part that's going, oh man, we can't ask for this. This isn't justified. And then another part that goes, actually, you know what? It is justified. This is a bad activity. Oh, okay, cool. So then I can make my request? Dope. So dissonance theory explicitly includes changing beliefs or justifying behavior to restore consistency. Okay. Now, what's this hostile attribution bias? So that's relevant when the person interprets ambiguous or benign behavior as hostile, negligent, selfish, or disrespectful. Okay, that's another name for malaming, right? So I have the word malaming, which is to attribute bad intention to not necessarily ill-intentioned actions. So I'm just going to write that down somewhere big. Malaming is hostile attribution bias plus assumption of intentional state. That's a Daniel Dennett thing. And then plus some other term, concept I came across recently that relates to malaming. Nomadic, continuing moralization. Psychologists use it for the process by which preferences become values or moral issues. So I prefer. This was from my previous example. My example, my very first time when I really noticed and named this thing. Oh, I want to be recording as well. So first 20 minutes were streamed, not recorded. Anyway, so this micro-moralization, she's referring to my example from when I was working in a shoe store, and I was busy in the stock room, and there was a person who was working the floor, and they were supposed to call me as soon as customers came in, or as soon as they needed help with the customers. And the person calls me. So I am going to go through it real quick. The person calls me, like, what the hell are you doing in the stock room? I'm all alone on the floor. Chill. You could just let me know that there's a rush, that there are multiple customers and you need help. That's a legitimate request. I don't have to have been doing something wrong for you to get me to stop doing it. Okay? Because before there was a rush, before I knew there was a rush, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, which was organizing the stock. Okay. So she could have said, hey, I need you to come down and help me now. But instead, it was like, you were wrong to not already be here. And then in the example with my partner, I want to prepare became we are wasting time. So that's good. Moralization. Yeah, making not an amoral thing a moral thing. Going from this is something I want or like or need to this is something that is good, that should be the case, regardless of my want or need. Of course, we have confabulation, and that's when someone unknowingly invents an explanation for behavior whose real cause they don't have access to. But it is kind of this rewriting of, I'm calling you and I'm saying this, not because I have a request, I wouldn't dare, but because you're doing something wrong. In reality, the call is about the request. She called me in the stockroom because she needed something. But instead, she makes up the reason, no, it's because I need to call out his error. And because that's the only way to make it, for her to have the right to do it in her mind. So then displacement, and of course there was displacement in both cases, right? With my partner, she may have felt scrutinized. Not only am I trying to film what I think she sometimes does, but also I'm telling her she's not doing a good job of reproducing the thing. So she feels scrutinized, that causes anxiety, and so then it becomes, she displaces it onto me. You're wasting our time. Same thing with the coworker. Oh no, I'm overwhelmed. There are all these customers. Displaced to me, Eris, you're a jerk for not being here. Okay, so we're gonna knock this one out first. I know it's taken a long time. But this is how it goes, and this is why I sometimes feel very discouraged about doing this on live, because I know you want a finished product, but I want to show you the process. I want to show you the thinking. So a grievance conversion. A want/request is converted into a grievance. Okay. Request moralization. Yeah, I like that. Defensive indignation. Permission anger. Anger supplies permission to make the request. That would probably be sort of my most intuitive, because it was always like, it's funny how they go to anger, and it's like they tell themselves, or people, we tell ourselves a story. See, anger gives us a boost, gives us courage to overcome things that we normally wouldn't be able to overcome. That's why it's, right, a secondary emotion follows from, you have some first emotion like fear, pain, hurt, sadness, whatever. and there's some obstacle between your fear state and a more neutral state. Are you going to overcome that obstacle? Anger comes in, right? So someone's hurting my feelings. I don't want to feel this sadness. What do? Well, normally I wouldn't like tell a person off and tell them to stop. So I get an anger boost. You stop it. You must stop it right now. Normally I'd avoid confrontation. But now I have an anger boost. Fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So yeah, permission anger. So it's like an anger that permits you to make the request. In sort of, yeah, because anger doesn't always permit, it enables, it empowers. But now it's really like, oh gosh, I don't feel like I can do that. But if I have reason to be angry about that, and if I can rile myself up, then I can overcome this block I have about, this fear I have of being bossy, this concern about being bossy. Yeah, that's cool, man. All these terms are really cool. So I don't know. Let's make a list here. Or you know what? I think maybe I'll just print it out. Yeah, I'll print it out. All right, so let me just paste it into a document really so quickly. Let's see. Okay, Chat GPT. No, you know what? I'm just going to do the whole process. I'm just going to print it. There's probably no one here anyway. Okay, ChatGPT suggests names for the thing where people use outrage to make a request they'd otherwise feel illegitimate making. Okay, Bob. Transgression laundering. No, not so much. Oh, and then existing terms. Let's copy that. Oh, bro, it'd be so much better if it was, I would just do like this. It was one page. Okay, right. Bop. Okay, so ChatGPT shares existing terms related to the thing where people blah, blah, blah. Okay, so which one do I like the most? I like permission anger. That's the one I like the most. Permission anger. Let's see, coining permission anger. Boom. All right, let's print that out so it's done. Otherwise, I'll forget. I appreciate it. I bought paper, but I haven't put it in yet. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Oh, great. Wait, stop it. Where's the paper we bought? Here it is. Okie dokie, excellent. Okay, that's one thing done. How exciting. Okay, next. What other thing did we want to work on? So that's it. That's the whole ChatGPT thing that we want to do. Okay, excellent. Next. Where is ChatGPT? Done. Okay, we can remove. I'll just put it over there. Okay, so you can't read that. We need to reverse that. That's audio. I need this here. Transform. Flip horizontal. Excellent. Now, where am I looking? Over here. We'll flip that one as well. And transform. Flip horizontal. Why am I putting this here? I don't know. Because, yeah, I'm going to have to look here. Sometimes I'll look there. Okay, excellent. All right, so what do I want to do next? Great, so no, that's not it. That's not it, bro. Dang, okay, that's not it. So when you rewrite, when you like sort of rewrite your thoughts, when you kind of lie to yourself, as in the case that we were just discussing, you kind of tell yourself because you have to, in order to accomplish your goal of feeling legitimate, you have to tell yourself, you know what? Actually, it's not fine to be filming. Or actually, there's nothing normal about the fact that he's up in the stockroom right now. So what do we want to call that? So the overcompensating thing, we're going to call that permission anger. Okay. So that's good. Done. Thank you, ChatGPT. And then the rethinking, I came up with this. Oh, but then ChatGPT came up with like, an it word, which is grievating. I don't know what I think about that. So that would be the action of doing the permission anger thing. You can see this all right, sort of? Not really. Okay, that's all right. Okay, then the other thing is convening. Okay, I'm pronouncing that with a y, because convenient. So I guess it would kind of be two I's. But anyway, probably just leave it at one. Convenieting. It's when you redo a thought so that it fits with the rest of your thoughts or serves whatever purpose, but typically you don't notice, okay? So this is unreportive. As we used to say, unconscious. You can't see that at all. That's all right. It's actually not all right. Hold on. Let me adjust this. Oh, okay. It seems so zoomed in, bro. Okay, so this is an unreportive move. Convenieting is always unreportive, okay? Because if you're actually like trying to change your thoughts, I say you are re-itting, right? And it is just basically a thought, a mental mechanism. And if you're trying to change well, it's actually a mechanism. A thought, I guess, is the event of a mechanism. Anyway, it's a mechanism. So your re-it is to change your processing of things. So then liver is when is like the event, is more of like a thought happening. Re-liver is just when you think about something over and over again. So we can just call it like diff liver or something, is when you trying to like change your activity. Okay, great. All right, and this brings us to a shift. So in my relationship, so this past weekend we broke up for a day, with plans for me to move out and everything, and we talked about it the next day and realized that we had kind of just gotten scared. I got really scared about her fear. She's never really trusted anyone, and I realized that she doesn't feel as safe with me as I thought that she did. And I don't really induce feelings of safety. I thought the fact that we've known each other since 8th grade, that that we've always had a good relationship. I was counting on that for the trust and safety, but I mean, she doesn't really trust her immediate family. So how do I so we each had a shift. On Saturday on Fox D, my fear was running the show. That pain of, damn, you don't trust me, you don't feel safe with me. Oh, I thought I had earned that. Oh, darn, I don't know how to move forward from here, and I don't want to like stay, or I'm scared to, and I'm worried about the pain of staying in a thing, where I don't feel trusted, and where I feel like I might be like causing you pain when I'm trying to do the opposite. Excuse me. So, I know I sound like a madman with all these different words, but that's okay. I guess anytime someone comes up with a new word, they are going to sound like a madman, and then so many at once that I'm presenting to you for the first time. So, all right. So it is what it is. Okay. I don't want to explain all the vocabulary. I just want to work on what I'm working on right now. But maybe if you do want to, I'll explain a bit. So one thing, each processor, each line of code, if you will, in the mind is an it, okay? Represented by this symbol. It's just an I and a T combined without the dot, okay? When an it runs, executes, is activated, we say that it livers, okay? So an it livers. Okay, so the sit stem, oh boy. The sit stem, oh, it's over there. Now you can't see that. Okay, so the sit stem, that's the mind, that's the system of its. By the way, we're going to get to this, don't know when, but these are shoulders, a neck, and a head, okay? With a whole bunch of these mechanisms, these lines of code in it, okay? So this system I refer to as a sit stem, because each gear, each piece is an it, okay? So that's kind of, it's not static, because I mean, it's dynamic, it can change. But you know what's even more dynamic? Which lines of code are running at a given moment, okay? So this is the set of mechanisms, mental mechanisms, okay? And then this is the total current activity of mex. Okay, that's the activity. Oops. Activity, okay? I'm trying not to listen right now to all the its that are like, you look like a fucking idiot right now, just writing gobbledygook on the board. We know what went into this. Okay, so that's your activity, okay? So you have a sit stem, the set of all the rules, and then your activity is what's running right now, okay? So to run, I set is to liver, okay? So a mechanism executing. Could have said mexecute, but no, I like liver, okay? So a mechanism that's processing like sensory data coming in from the inside. That sensory data is in livering. And then in it, that's like sending out a behavior. That's ex livering, right? Okay. And then thinking is just livering, or if you want to be really clear that you're not talking about ex living or in livering, you can say intra livering. Two people are thinking together. You can say they are interlivering. So I like this root. Okay. The output of one it to another it. So the output from the whole sit stem, or from an it to the outside world, is ex livering. What one it says to another it is ex livery. And what this it has heard from another it is delivery. Anyway, I should not be using wet erase. I should be using dry erase, because now I just want to erase so much of this stuff, and it's not very convenient. That's all right. So let's do an example of so we're shifting from shift, and do I want to do that? Yeah, I do. Okay, so I want to talk about this here. Okay, bear with me, bro. Try. So, one thing that we've learned from psychology, or even just introspection, sort of, is that when you're walking quickly and when you're tense, you're going to feel more nervous, more tense mentally, right? When your body is tense, the mind will follow. Okay, so there's this like feedback. So let's say I'm like this. I am checking with my body. I'm noticing that I'm like this, and I'm concluding that I should be like this. There must be some kind of a threat. There must be some kind of a problem. So then I send more signals to my body to be like this, right? Okay. And it can be a pretty vicious cycle. So whenever you notice that you're tense and you're like, oh, there's nothing bad happening. I'm not late. I don't need to be walking this fast. Slow down. Okay? Send the signals to your body to go more slowly, so that when you check in with your body, about how things are going, you see, oh, I'm relaxed. Then I guess everything is fine. Now you might be confused. What do you mean? How can you be both the thing sending the signals to the body to tense up, and then also the thing that looks at that tension and goes, oh shit, we must be tense because of a problem? Like if you sent the signal to your body, right? The brain does all of this. I am a brain, I'm doing all of this. How is it possible that I must be like sending a signal to my shoulders, because that's what I was talking about specifically with my partner. She's got this baseline anxiety all the time. And one thing we're talking about is that every once in a while to notice and to relax, because then if our body is, if we as a mind relax and tell our body to follow, then we as a mind will follow. But again, wait, what do you mean? That doesn't make sense, right? Well, I'm going to tell you what makes it make sense. And my dad asked me, what does it theory explain? What does the it frame explain? And this is what it explains. It explains why it is valuable to relax your shoulders, for instance, okay? So the mind is multiple, okay? My dad knows this. So it's these different modules, okay? So the module that sends the signal to the body to tense up is not the same module that then checks on the body to see whether we are tense and should be tense or not. That's it, okay? So you have an it hunch. By the way, every it not only is like, you know, the word it, but it's also an acronym for if then, okay? So every it can be phrased as an if then, okay? So, oh boy, gobbledygook, more gobbledygook. So this is, it's a Hebrew symbol, it's a character, a letter, you know, bet, doesn't matter. I wanted to, instead of writing if, I wanted a symbol for if and a symbol for then. Okay, so if walking, I have this it. This it livers a lot in me. This it of if walking, then walk quickly. Okay. Couple reasons I have this it. One reason is that I'm often late. Another reason is that my dad told me to walk with purpose, and that got translated into walking with speed. And, you know, just seeing people walk quickly. Anyway, so I have this, right? You may as well. If walking, then walk quickly. Okay? Got to get to where I'm going as fast as possible, okay? So this livers pretty much every time I'm walking, okay? I try to notice and slow down, all right? But anyway, so this livers anytime I'm walking, okay? Well, might also be one if in public, then, you know, hunch shoulders. Wait, what does hunch mean? Doesn't hunch mean like this? That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say like this. But we're going to use the word hunch anyway, okay? Because what is this? Pull up, tense? I don't know. What is our English word for this, bro? I don't know in any language. No, I don't. So we're going to call it hunch, okay? So a lot of people having it, you know, I mean, basically, if alive, then go like this, you know? Or it can be, you know, if nervous, if in unfamiliar territory, whatever. But then sometimes those its with more specific conditions, this is the condition, this is the consequent, this is the if, this is the then. So the condition or the if, it gets generalized because that thing gets practiced so much that this consequent gets a more general, never mind. Okay, so we have the hunch it, the it hunch. Haven't really decided how to name it. If I put like the name before it, or if I say it hunch or hunch it, I think I'm going to go it hunch. So we have it hunch. We're just existing out in the world, so it's sending a signal down, contracting. I mean, it's not really there, of course. Guess it's there to contract these muscles. Okay. Now, here's, this is not well named. We'll call it if tense. So we'll call it, I mean, not if, we'll call it tense. Okay? And it tense goes something like this. If muscles tense, then situation precarious. Okay? So now what do you think happens? When this thing, livers, when this it tense, in-livers or delivers, no, was it deliver? Was the interior receiving word? I'm not sure actually, bro. Okay, we're going to say it that way anyway. I know it's counterintuitive because deliver means to give something, and here we're talking about receiving. So I don't know. But anyway, so when it tense, I can't do it. I can't say delivers. That's too confusing. What other prefixes could I have considered for this? We're just going to use in liver, okay? Because it's kind of from the outside anyway. It's the periphery. It's the body. Okay. So when it tense, in livers, receives this information about the tension in the body, when it in livers this tension, it livers. Hey guys, hey all the other its, or not all of them, but hey other its who can hear me, the situation is precarious, right? Well, guess what? There's a brother of it hunch or a member of the it hunch team who's like, if situation precarious, then hunch. Okay? And then, of course, that got generalized just over the lifetime to, you know what? If we're in public, let's just hunch. Because we were tending to always feel like we were in a precarious situation when we were in public. So let's clean this up. Let's just say anytime we're in public, what's the word? My God. Why am I inventing words when I don't even know basic words? Great question. Not really a great question, but it's understandable. Okay, so this is the loop, right? So as just kind of a baseline, it hunch is just kind of always livering or livering. It's not to another it within the mind, but it's also not totally outside of the person. So, but anyway, it hunch is livering to the shoulders to contract. It tense is in-livering from the shoulders, this contraction, and is equilivering. Oh, guys, if muscles tense, then situation precarious. Right? So it's just like this backwards. Which then, this here's again, oh, not only are we in public, but for real, the situation is precarious, then we got a hunch. Until you're like this. No, obviously there is some negative feedback. Like, if we're already hunched, then we don't need a hunch more. That plays into things, okay? Okay, so the important thing that it theory is the picture that it's meant to paint is that there are all these different its that are grabbing at the steering wheel, grabbing at the microphone, producing behavior and statements, okay? So, yeah, so, and and they have excitatory and inhibitory relationships, and I still haven't sat down and figured out what kind of notation I would want to use for a map. But yeah, you could have like, this means, they're not speaking directly. So, but anyway, between two its, this means maybe exciting, and, this means like inhibiting. I don't know. Anyhow, okay. So they have these relationships. Okay. You also have teams of its, which can be called an it by itself or broken down into the component its. So, like, this could be a team of its, and all of these its involve fear, let's say. Okay? And let's say you have another team. Okay, and these are ambition. Okay? So this is fear, and this is ambition. Okay? So those are the team names. It fear and it ambition. Okay? And then you would have like specific things like, I don't know, the it that livers my desire to make a video, for instance, would be on this team. And then the it that like livers my concern that I'm going to be seen as a fucking idiot, which I am. Seen as, and also I am. We all are. Relative to how we want to see ourselves anyway. God damn, she's not going to be happy. This is the second time I've gotten marker on the thing. I hope she's not watching right now. Oopsies. I guess I should just try to get it out immediately, right? Rather than trying to keep it secret. Am I really trying right now? Let's do some water real quick. It's not doing shit, bruh. I'm not motivated to go get the shout right now because I don't want to lose this train of thought. I think she'll forgive me, though. The dogs wipe their butts on this. Okay, so... there are times where you're in like one headspace or another, where there's one sort of set of its that's dominating, and another time when there's a different set of its that's dominating. And with me and with my girlfriend, it's pretty dramatic. I have ADHD, so it's pretty dramatic, right, between not being on my medicine and, an hour after I've taken it. Wildly different activity, right? So if these guys are running the show, we're looking at some fearful activity overall because these guys are running the show, or some ambitious activity if those guys are running the show. The system hasn't changed itself. It's just what's livering, what's active in the system, okay? So, how can we shift, which I think I want to pronounce shift because shift it sounds funny, but I'm spelling it with this symbol. Shift it. Can I get used to that? Shift it. How do we shift it? No, because I want to hear shift. So how do we shift? Shift it? How do we shift it? I don't know. Okay. How do we shift though? How can we trigger these guys? Right? Well, I said that every it is an if then. So you have to figure out like what might be the conditions for these its? What might be the conditions for these its? So like the condition for this it is, or one of these its is, if there's a possibility of, no, if I'm not well prepared, then everyone is gonna think I'm an idiot. And yeah, if I'm not well prepared, then I'm gonna do a bad job and be judged poorly. Okay? So when my attention is on my lack of preparation, this is gonna be liberating. Not necessarily the whole team, but whatever we were just defining. Meanwhile, if I want to work through an idea and share an idea, then I should make a video about it. That might be one of my ambition its. So if my attention is on the idea itself, is on the desire to work through it, and less so on what I've prepared to say as I work through it, then these guys are going to get slapped more. Slapped just means triggered, activated. So the goal is to do a shift. You have to change the conditions, and attention is not only a consequent, but can also be, right, a condition to other things. So if we change our attention, we can make it maybe easier to slap this. Okay. So for me, it's between like fear and hopelessness, and ambition, and kind of not giving a fuck what you think if you're gonna hate, and and also just focusing on the, if I think about people who have listened to me talk, right, who have really enjoyed my presentations, throughout my life, that's going to inhibit this, and it should slap this. If there are people who want to listen, then give it to them. If there are people that want to work with me, then work with them, right? Those are going to be in my ambition. And so if I'm, focused on, there are people that want to think about this with me, or, hear from me about this, this stuff's going to liver more. Okay. So, I guess that is probably the key. Maybe I've answered my question, because what I was thinking is, what about like just repeating something over and over again? Sometimes I'll be lying in bed and I have none of the work its are being slapped right now. I have no desire to get up and, I have like a desire, but nothing is really livering about getting up and going downstairs, going to my computer, editing, writing, whatever. And so then I move on. How silly of me. What an idiot. If I keep going over and over and over again, right? We know about temporal summation with neurons. If I keep going over and over again, I want to edit. I want to edit. I want to publish that video. I want to, and probably be consistent. Stick with one. I want to edit. 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 There's an it in there. If I want to edit, then fucking edit. But that edit, that desire to edit, has to have a certain weight. There's a certain, what we say, bias. Not bias in the way we typically use that word, but a bias like a threshold. So there's a certain level of desire that needs to be experienced before we can get the action. And so maybe just by repeating it over and over and over again, that threshold can be met. By having it on your wall, I wake up in the morning and I'm looking at my phone. I wake up in the morning, I'm looking at my phone, and I see on the wall, you want to edit. And I keep glancing at it. And that's going to keep building up that sense of desire, not necessarily that feeling, but that we're just going to say it's going to build up that desire until the threshold is met and we get the consequent. Okay? So here's the question. How do we do a shift? Oh yeah, because I think this is pretty clever, so I'm going to explain it. I don't know why we talk about shift changes. You know, you're working in a hospital or security or whatever, in a store, and there are people that stop their shift, and you have a new shift that starts, right? And we call it a shift change. But shift means change. Shift means a movement. So it's a shift, right? Well, I'm lucky that we call it a shift change, so now I can use shift for my thing. So how do we do a shift? How do we shift who's working, who's living, who's dominating the activity? Okay? So maybe now, okay, because I wanted the word shift to be here, heard? So maybe I can do a shift it. A shift. I don't know yet. Anyway, so how do we do a shift? You can have a mantra that triggers something in you, right? And maybe one that, even you say once. So for instance, for my girlfriend, we have fear. She has this fear shift. And also like a hope shift, right? Sometimes she's like excited about the future. Oh, we can do this and this will be possible. And then other times it's like, oh, we can't do any of that shit. I've never done that shit before. That's scary. That's unknown, right? Because on the fear team, on team it fear, there's like if unknown, then dangerous, then avoid. If risk, then avert. Meanwhile, in the ambition, if new, then try. If unknown, then explore. Right? So, and then also there's like a self-hatred. Right? We both have a self-hate team. And then we also have self-love team. Right? And I wish I was doing this with somebody, bro. This doesn't look fun to you, bro. And if it's nonsense, we'll sort it, bro. We'll find the nonsense and we'll change it, bro. There's guaranteed some nonsense in here, some major things that I'm missing, overlooking, whatever. Okay, so how do we do a shift it from it self-hate to it self-love? Well, it self-hate, one of those it's is going to be something like, if I have made a mistake, then I am bad, right? Meanwhile, if it self-love is maybe like, if I made a mistake, then what? Then I'm okay. Then I'm human. Then nothing, bro. Then we good, bro. That's par for the course, bro. So how do we slap these guys over those guys, right? These guys tend to be the default for, a lot of people. So what kind of mantra can I have to provide the condition of one of those? So one thing I came up with was if my girlfriend asks herself, if Sarah asks herself, is it okay to be human? When I deliver that question, when I ask myself that, I'm thinking, of course it fucking is. You are human, bro. I'm also delivering because, heard so many times in my life, you're only human. It's very human to make mistakes. So I have this association between being human and making mistakes. How's my battery doing here? 60%? All right. Just thought about the other stuff I'm trying to get through. And then also, I every time I'm doing this, I've got you, the audience, in mind. And so I'm explaining. So I'm worried about you being bored if I'm just trying to work on it without explaining. And anyway. So what can we do to trigger it's self-love? So if I ask myself, is it okay to be human? I think about, well, of course it fucking is, I am. And also humans make mistakes. And all of a sudden, this just feels stupid. I mean, I don't know the mechanics of it, but I think what I'm experiencing happening is this of, if I make a mistake, then I am bad, just loses its power. It's beat out by, if I make a mistake, then I am human. And a human is deserving of love. Whenever I hear this thing about humans making mistakes, it's always compassionate. It's always, the point is forgiveness. So you can have a mantra or a question. Maybe you can repeat. You can have a poster on the wall, something that you say, right? So what do we... do you have a poster about mistakes? You do? Great job, bro. Can you read it to us? Here, take this over there.
I am safe even if I make major mistakes. This feeling is discomfort, not failure, and failure is okay. Failure and feedback are not verdicts.
Are not verdicts. Great job, bro. So a poster, and then of course a partner, someone to remind you, someone to say, hey, I see the fear shift is in full swing. I want to shift it. Do a shift it. What's possible? What can you do? What have you done? What have you encountered and surmounted? Let's put our attention in a place where these guys are going to live. Okay. All right, great. So I want to try to think of some other options, but I guess I'm kind of satisfied with that. And maybe I just wanted to talk through it as well. Okay, great. So this is done. Oh yeah. And then here's another thing. When you hello, when you think of yourself as a singular thing, you're just taking for granted that whatever the current activity is the correct activity, right? But when you start seeing this much more pluralistic picture of mind, you go, wait a minute, I can have battles in here. And we already have battles, but a lot of our battle opportunities we miss. Our internal battles, we miss it because we try to be consistent because we think we're, this one thing. And so we have this idea that, or this instinct, this tendency to align all of our ideas with themselves, together, whatever. So, and it's only when two teams are just like really loud And it's like really emotionally charged that the two teams, that we feel conflicted. But you can be conflicted sort of all the time. It would be exhausting, but it would be beneficial to experience that conflict, participate in that conflict more often. So my word for that I was coming up with as I was preparing for this video. What about scrimmage? Doesn't roll off the tongue, but a scrimmage between your parts. And so, that's something that is easy for me to see and to want to see in and to want from my partner. I'll see these guys dominating and I'll be like, wait, can you slow down? I know that there are other it's in there. Can they have a conversation? I don't want to keep arguing with this fear team, because it just feels like I'm programming you. I know that you already have these other it's, right? She's doing open mic and stuff, right? She wants to do sketches together, but she's like, oh, I don't want to go up there on stage with you. It's just not something I'm interested in. I'm like, no, it's not just not something you're interested in, bro. And she'll be like, yeah, I'm scared you're going to take all the attention, that you're going to put me on the spot and I'm not going to come up with something as clever as you. Right, exactly. So it's that fear stuff. Don't stop there. Don't just take it for granted. Don't just accept it. Have a conversation with it. Let the other it's have a conversation with it. There are it's in there that know that we could work on our dynamic to avoid that situation. There are it's in there that know that she would survive such an interaction. That there it's in there that know that she doesn't have to come across as imaginative, innovative, intelligent, whatever, as I come across, because I'm like more confident and I sometimes know more things maybe, and I think maybe a little bit quicker. But there are lots of areas where I don't know more things, so it's really an unfounded fear, and it's a kind of a major obstacle, and she's not even having the conversation, with herself about it. So how do you encourage a scrimmage? So one way to do it is to write out, to verbalize what this is, what's happening here. I am scared that I am scared because I don't know what will happen on stage. Immediately upon hearing that, now that it's been verbalized, because it just makes it easier for more it's to engage with it, to hear it, to respond to it, immediately there's an it going, oh, well, what if you guys prepared something? Again, if you allow that scrimmage to happen, if you don't just take for granted whatever my current thoughts are the entirety of my thoughts. Then if you stop assuming that, I think you'll be in a better position to hear the responses. Okay? So I identify as someone who more often than I notice with other people, I'll have a thought, and then I'll see a problem with it. Have a thought, verbalize it, and then hear another thought, go, wait a minute, no good. That's easier when you feel confident, when you feel safe. And I think also, I'm not sure right now why I'm thinking this, but yeah, I think that if in that system exists the knowledge that we are many and we are diverse, right? There's a lot going on in here. Then we're listening out for responses. And if we don't think that, if we picture ourselves as a singular entity, we have no expectation of a counterpoint, to hear a counterpoint to our thought, because it is our thought. Who the fuck's gonna give it? Who the fuck's gonna counter it? But if we're many, then when one of us in here has a thought, well, of course, give the other ones a chance to participate, to respond. And we've seen it happen, my partner and I. We've done it before, where I can't remember the moment right now, and we haven't done it a lot. Maybe it's just the one moment that I'm very vaguely thinking of. Oh yeah, we did it when yeah. So the day after we break up, we're talking about how confident we feel in the future of our relationship. And we and neither of us feels like 100% convinced that this is going to work out perfectly, okay? And rather than just stopping there and taking for granted that is justified, I mean, we can't be 100% blah, 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 but our percentage is a lot lower than it should be. So let's say we have, I mean, I would rate my percentage, let's say her percentage is like 50%, bro. In my percentage, let's say it's like 75, 80%. So, you know, when you have critical recognition, which is the basis of critical thinking, well, a good foundation for critical thinking, when you know about the mind, well, one of the first most important things that you know, basically the definition of recognition, is knowing that you are so fallible, that you're so full of shit. And so when you have an assessment of something, you got to take a look at it. Because maybe a couple of its, well, those would be nice, but maybe a couple its, right, ex-livered this belief, hey, we believe this. These its aren't speaking for everybody. If you know that you're fallible, and if you know that you're diverse and multiple, then when those its ex-liver, hey, here's what we believe, there's more of a chance that other its can go, whoa, who's we? Who's we? First of all, I don't trust you because we're all fallible in here, so I want to take a look at what you're saying. And what you're saying represents us all. And secondly, I exist. Let me respond. Okay, so that's for instance these guys. So these guys ex-liver something, they've grabbed the microphone, they say, we don't want to travel. And then some curiosity about other cultures here. Hold on a second. That's not all of us. Yeah, the fear parts of us don't want to travel, but I fucking do. And the fear parts of us, what are they so scared of? People travel all the time. Hold on, bro. I need to grab this mic, bro. Okay? So understanding that we are fallible and multiple. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm like looking for better phrasing. I'm giving other its a chance to give me better phrasing, to give you guys better phrasing, to send out better phrasing. So if you know that you are multiple and fallible, that's good, huh? That's really important to recognition. I always talk about fallible, but I don't talk about multiple. So to be Craig includes to know that you are fallible, to know that you are multiple, to know that you are condition dependent, to know that you are automatic. But you can sometimes let yourself forget that you're automatic. That's really, okay, that's nice. Because if you're just a single, last time, see if this slaps any good phrasing. If you just think of yourself as a single and rational thing, why the fuck is there going to be other parts of you correcting the initial part? Right? Now, it is possible definitely for a sit stem to at once believe itself to be singular and rational, but also not every it believes that, and so some its do react, wait a minute, hold on a second, But I just think it makes it easier for those conversations, for those scriptages to happen if it is well known throughout the sit stem, we are multiple, we are fallible. Great. Okay, so that's that. So we can call it maybe a shift it. Okay, great. Now, I think this is a great segue. Oh, I wrote these two one-page scripts. Great. See, right now, I have to notice I'm not feeling a reward from doing this. But I am happy with myself for doing this, but I guess I had one it liver. Cool, look at what you just did. You just spent an hour and a half, and now I've got another it going. An hour and a half doing fucking what, bro? Okay, you shut up. Back to the it that's like, wow, you put time into it. Oh, that's what I have to do. Because I'm not feeling, so I had an it that livered. By the way, whenever you're saying like I had a thought, I just say heard. Well, I don't, but that's my idea for what to say. So let's try it. Heard, wow, look at everything that I did. Then heard, where are the likes? Where are the comments? Where are the people praising me? Where are the people validating the work? Then I heard, oh, wait a minute. We've been thinking recently, let's focus on the time that we put into it. Because we have a bit of faith that if we put in time, we're getting some quality. And the more time we put in, the more quality. We're happy to be corrected. Not happy, but we're eager to be corrected if not eager either. We are willing to be corrected. And please hurry up and correct us so that we can feel less embarrassed. Because the longer that you wait to correct me, the more time I will have wasted and embarrassment I'll have to feel. Then I heard, back to the thoughts I had as I was looking at this. Then I heard, what did I hear? What was heard? Right, but we put time into it. So that's what, and I feel good about that. I do. Oh, is it important to put time into it? Yeah, that's a value that we've established and that was already there. So, because you can't just like that install a value. But we've built it up, and look at that. I feel good. I'm getting a dopamine release seeing that. Because I feel good about my explanation. I feel like I've justified why these words and these concepts are new and useful. Why they are. Why I'm talking about them. Because they are useful. I think I've shown that. And even if I haven't, that's okay, because I put time in, and that's what matters. Okay, excellent. So, not that, but the thought that we had before, what we were talking about before about how we think of ourselves as singular and rational, is a great transition to Chapter 9, Being a Beast Machine. Okay? So we're reading Being You, A New Science of Consciousness by Anil Seth, the British cognitive and computational neuroscience professor at the University of Sussex. And I guess he splits his time because he's also the co-director of the Canadian Institute for Advanced Research Program on Brain, Mind, and Consciousness. He is the editor-in-chief of Neuroscience of Consciousness. He's written for The Guardian, New Scientist, Scientific American, Eon, and Granta. And this is going to give me some legitimacy in all this shit we're talking. I mean, all this good shit we're sharing. Okay, so I'm not going to explain predictive processing because I don't feel comfortable enough with my explanation, and the whole time I'm just going to be thinking, oh, you can't explain predictive processing every time you talk about this book. Now I really want to. That might be a fallible instinct. Anybody else want to jump in? No? Okay, we're doing it. I mean, I guess you just have to hear it over and over again because it's just so different from our intuitive paradigm of perception. So I'm just going to say it, and you can Google it. You can think about it over and over again. You're not going to understand it from what I'm about to say, though, I don't think. So here are some sentences. All your perception that you experience, it's not the processing of data coming in from the outside world. It isn't. It's your prediction of what could be causing, what could explain that data. Okay, so you have expectations, you have a prediction, and that doesn't have to be about the future. It's just about, he has a good sentence that I'm basically plagiarizing anyway, so let me just read that sentence. Wasn't it recently? Did you want to say something, Sarah? Oh, but while I'm looking for that, page 160. Just as experiences of redness are not indications of an externally existing red, experiences of unified selfhood do not signify the existence of an actual self. Further down on the page at the bottom, the experience of being me or of being you is a perception itself, or better, a collection of perceptions, a tightly woven bundle of neurally encoded predictions geared toward keeping your body alive. And this, I believe, is all we need to be who we are. All right, I might not find that. It was because I was looking at 117. 117, because I was going through this with Sarah the other day. Okay, 116. Maybe I didn't underline this. I'm only looking at the underlined stuff. I'll read this, page 120. Our perceptual world, alive with colors, shapes, and sounds, is nothing more and nothing less than our brain's best guess of the hidden causes of its colorless, shapeless, and soundless sensory inputs. So I'm trying to explain predictive processing, and I'm saying that predictive processing, it says that basically all of our thinking, and he's been focused on perception and action. All it is it's all prediction based. Having a model in here that might explain the little trickle of information that we're getting from out there. Because remember, I'm in a skull. I'm in total darkness. I am just cells, right? I am a cellular soul in here, okay? I'm looking at this stuff and I feel like I'm out here. I'm not. I'm in here. I'm looking at this stuff and I'm feeling like I'm experiencing the world. I'm not. I'm experiencing an image in cells, created by cells, that is like loosely based on what I'm picking up from out there. But I'm not picking up everything from out there outside of my skull, right? Only a sliver, maybe more than a sliver, but of the spectrum of light is visible to me, right? So I'm only even able to process photons at a certain, that, have a certain, are going at, or of a certain wavelength, right? So there's a lot of information hitting me I'm doing nothing with. It triggers no image, no representation, etc. Bears, right, have, this sounds so ridiculous. Is this true? 30,000 times as many sensory, olfactory, like receptors, or they can differentiate like 30 times as many smells or some shit. That cannot be right. But it's something crazy. So I have all kinds of molecules hitting my olfactory bulbs, not triggering anything at all. Okay? Because I am not out here in the world experiencing the world. I am experiencing what limited representations I can do based on what limited sensory data I can be affected by. Okay? Bro, wasn't it in that paragraph? He said, when I say prediction, gosh, anyway, I can just say what he said. I can. He says something like, when I say prediction, I'm not referring to things about the future. I'm just referring to a model that can explain or, be consistent with the sensory data that I am affected by. Okay, let me read this. Page 116. Action is inseparable from perception. Perception and action are so tightly coupled that they determine and define each other. Every action alters perception by changing the incoming sensory data, and every perception is the way it is in order to help guide action. There is simply no point to perception in the absence of action. We perceive the world around us in order to act effectively within it, to achieve our goals, and in the long run, to promote our prospects of survival. We don't perceive the world as it is. We perceive it as it is useful for us to do so. And not perfectly useful, right? Because it's just that if it wasn't, it's just useful enough to survive. Because people whose predictions were not useful enough to survive didn't. In predictive processing, at page 117, the top of the page, in predictive processing, action and perception are two sides of the same coin. Both are underpinned by the minimization of sensory prediction errors. Until now, I've described this minimization process in terms of updating perceptual predictions, but this is not the only possibility. I do want to demonstrate this real quick. So, I'm thirsty. I need to consume liquid in order to stay alive. I predict that I am sensing on my lip this can. Whoa, I'm not sensing. The sensory data, I don't feel a cold can. And of course, this is all happening like this, right? But we're slowing it down. We're making it reportive. We're not making it reportive. Anyway, so I have a prediction that right now I have a can to my lips. That prediction, I'm getting an error signal. The sensory data is not matching that prediction. So I need to engage in some minimization of sensory prediction errors. So one option, update my prediction. Actually, I don't have a can against my lip. Oh yeah, okay, that matches. But that's not the only possibility, Dr. Seth says. I could also... Oh, now my prediction is correct. So either I could adjust my prediction to match the sensory data, or to be consistent enough with the sensory data, or I could change the sensory data, I feel it, to be consistent with my prediction. That's a pretty cool idea, bro. I mean, and it's not just a cool idea, it's evidenced. So it's pretty exciting, bro. I guess I gotta slink down here. Why don't I can just... Okay, so I'm gonna read that paragraph again because I think now that you've got that in mind, it's gonna make sense. So actually, I'm gonna read the paragraph before at the bottom 116, and then that paragraph. It may even be that action comes first. Instead of picturing the brain as reaching best perceptual guesses in order to then guide behavior, we can think of brains as fundamentally in the business of generating actions, of behaving. And then the brain is continually calibrating these actions using sensory signals so as to best achieve the organism's goals. Let that just kind of wash over you. That's fine. This view casts the brain as an intrinsically dynamic, active system continually probing its environment and examining the consequences. And then there's a footnote. This might be interesting. It's like an example. Consider the sea squirt. In its juvenile stage, this simple animal has a well-defined, though rudimentary, brain, which it uses as it searches for an appealing rock or lump of coral on which to spend the rest of its life, filter feeding on whatever drifts by. Having found one and attached itself, it digests its own brain, retaining only a very simple nervous system. Some people have used... Did you just hear an insult?
I just heard some creature eating its own brain.
Okay.
And I thought that was funny.
Oh, okay. I thought that you thought I was making some comment about you or something.
No, I think I assume you were talking about like some very primitive organism.
Yeah, that's why I was worried That was fun. That was just right there, bro. You set me up for it. Having found a rock to sit on and attached itself, it digests its own brain, retaining only a simple nervous system. Some people have used the sea squirt as an analogy for an academic career before and after finding, tenure. Before and after getting tenure. Before and after finding a permanent university position. Surely the English also say tenure, so I don't... Anyway. Okay, so that was the footnote to the last sentence of the paragraph I just read. This view casts the brain as an intrinsically dynamic, active system, continually probing its environment and examining the consequences. In predictive processing, action and perception are two sides of the same coin. Both are underpinned by the minimization of sensory prediction errors. Until now, I've described this minimization process in terms of updating perceptual predictions. I must not have a can. I do not have a can then. No error signals? Okay, cool. But this is not the only possibility. Prediction errors can also be quenched by performing actions in order to change the sensory data, so that the new sensory data match an existing prediction. Minimizing prediction error through action is called active inference, a term coined by the British neuroscientist Carl Freston. Excuse me. I admit I'm still kind of looking for that. By the way, when I say predictions, I'm not talking about... Got it. Page 112. Last paragraph. It's worth clarifying here that prediction in prediction error minimization is not necessarily about the future. By the way, I want to make sure you guys got that joke because I just keep relivering it, thinking about how funny that was. Sarah said, no, because I was not trying to set up for the joke when I said, did you hear an insult? The way that she laughed, I thought it was like, haha, very, that's a good one. You got me again, I didn't know how she heard it, but I've been surprised before when she has been insulted. What? How'd you get there? How was that your prediction? And how was there no error minimization? So I was totally sincere. And then she convinced me that no, she had not heard that. She said, no, I just thought you were talking about a very primitive organism. It's making me laugh again. So that I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. And then, I didn't have to finish my sentence, but my sentence was going to be, yeah, oh, yeah, that's why I thought you might think I was talking about you or something like that. And she laughed, and it was tons of fun, but she also let me know, ouch. So I probably shouldn't have gone through it again, but I just thought it was so funny. I just want to make sure the audience can laugh at you too, bro. That's all. I just want us to yell the gang up on you, bro. It's lonely when it's just me, bro. So it's worth clarifying here that prediction in prediction error minimization is not necessarily about the future. It simply means going beyond the data by using a model. In statistics, the essence of prediction is in catering for the absence of sufficient data, right? So you don't have enough data. All right, well, what's a predictive model? What's consistent enough with the data that we do have? So whether this is because predictions are about the future, one can think of the future as insufficient data, or about some current but incompletely known state of affairs, does not matter. Okay, great. All right, so now all of that to explain, basically, because that's kind of, he hasn't tied it all together yet for me. In the writing, but this is all setting up to basically explain, to give us a way to think about experience and consciousness, okay? So, now I'm on chapter 9, okay, page 178. Started this a few days ago, because, don't read as much as I'd like. And I got very excited. So I've read 178 and 179. And I'm like, I gotta share this, bro. So I want this for you to follow from, me saying that we are not these singular rational souls that we think we are, and it is worth understanding the underlying machinery. I'm just going to mention it. So, I have my Warsaw illusions. WERSAS. Came up with them in the city of Warsaw, and also you can pronounce it Warsaw like Arkansas. Will. That we have this free will that is the source of everything that comes out of us, that all of our behaviors can be attributed to this coherent set of desires that can initiate behaviors without, those behaviors don't need to be triggered just because you want something, so you can just do it. Hey, I want to quit drugs. Boom, addiction, gone. Okay? Essence, that you're singular. Rationality, that you already have remember I talked about weights and biases before, very, very briefly. Bias is that threshold of like a thing that comes in, is it enough to make this move, right? Think of it like, this is stupid. If I eat a bunch, then maybe I'll shit. But if I don't eat enough, then I won't. So there's this bias, meaning how much I have to eat in order for the shit to happen. Whatever. And then the weight is how much I'm eating. So is the weight big enough to satisfy the bias? Is it, okay? So in artificial neural networks, we talk about the weights and biases, okay? So you have the weight of the input and then the bias of like the process. And is that weight sufficient for the process to happen, to liver. So this rationality illusion, it's stupid because you would have to have all of your weights and biases already, perfectly calibrated in order to correctly follow information that you receive to the correct conclusion. But, evolution's a messy bitch, bro. So we've got our shit's all out of whack. It's just good enough to basically run from animals. Run from predators and run toward prey. I mean, that's it. And fuck, bro. So rationality is the R. We've done will, essence, rationality, sense. That we see the world as it is. That we see ourselves as we are. And that true things feel good or true, and false things feel false or wrong. So all that bullshit about this magical intuition and naive realism is what we call, thinking that we see reality. Very naive. That's all in the sense category. A for attention, a boring one, just that we think that we notice what we should notice, basically. And that if we didn't notice something, then it probably didn't happen. Whatever. I mean, if we didn't notice something in front of us, invisible gorilla, right? Google it then. And the final S, storage, that we remember things as they happened, that if something important happened, we would remember it, etc. Okay? All right, so let's fuck up these Warsaw illusions, bro. All right, so chapter 9, being a beast machine. We do not see things as they are, we see them as we are. That's a quote from Anais Nin. Okay, so boom. Take that, sense illusion. We do not see the things as they are, we see them as we are. And then we do not, interpret things as we should. But anyway, I'm not shooting the shots right now. All right, so self-perception is not about discovering what's out there in the world or in here in the body. It's about physiological control and regulation. That's what self-perception is about. Physiological control and regulation. It's about staying alive. To understand why this is so, bro, what are you up to right now? That's so cool. I'm dying to drink this. It's like getting warm and stuff. I don't want to die. I was thinking, what if you read this right now? Would that be crazy?
That would not be crazy.
It wouldn't be? Okay, come over, bro. But you go around, bro. Thanks so much, bro. Appreciate you, bro. So much, bro. Okay, sit, bro.
What am I reading?
You can start from the top.
Okay. Self-perception is not about discovering what's out there in the world or in here in the body. It's about physiological control and regulation. It's about staying alive. To understand why this is so and what it means for all our conscious experiences, let's begin by looking back at a very old debate about how life and mind relate. In the great chain of being, the medieval Christian hierarchy of all matter and all life, God is at the top. Just below are angelic beings, then humans with various socially convenient subdivisions, then other animals, plants, and finally minerals. Everything in its place and everything having its own powers and ability determined by its place in the chain.
The great chain of being.
The Great.
From God down to rocks.
Within the chain, we humans are balanced awkwardly between the spiritual realm inhabited by God and the angels and the physical realm of animals, plants, and minerals. We possess immortal souls and are capable of reason, love, and imagination, but we are also susceptible to physical passions like pain, hunger, and sexual desire through being tied to a physical body. For centuries, especially in Europe, the Great Chain of Being, or Scala Naturae, provided a stable template by which humans could understand their place in nature, as well as their value compared to other humans. Kings being higher up the chain than peasants, for instance. Then in the 17th century, René Descartes did away with the many gradations of the Scala by cleaving the universe into just two modes of existence: res cognitae, mind stuff, or open parentheses, mind stuff, closed parenthesis, and res extensa, open parenthesis, matter stuff, closed parenthesis.
Great job. Thanks so much.
Mind stuff and matter stuff.
Mind stuff and matter stuff. Great. Thank you for adding that, for kind of repeating that. Awesome stuff. Thanks so much. I'm going to throw up if I drink any more of that. Great stuff, bro.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. I guess you just maybe because I haven't eaten, and you just I don't know. You just I don't know. You just can't drink too much of that stuff in one gulp. What are you gonna get on Amazon? Some stuff.
I gotta get a new screen.
Oh, excuse me.
And then when I left my parents, it fucked up the screen.
That you had worked on? Oh my god.
So I gotta get some materials for that. And then,
Where?
And then maybe I'm running out of calcium, so I might as well just buy some calcium.
Just buy some calcium, bro. You need some calcium, bro. Okay. No, I think I'm alright. Thank you. Okay, so. Proud of you, bro. Great job. Thank you so much for being proud of me. Like for this, or for not commenting on the...
No, yeah, for
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. So we have this great chain of being, this bullshit that some bullshitters came up with based on some bullshit intuition about how, oh, we're so fucking special. We came up from this dirt, bro. Weren't made from this dirt with shit from up there breathed into us, bro, okay? We came up from this dirt. We did not descend from up there. We are of this place, not that place, okay? So we have this great chain of being. God's at the top. Right below, we have some flippin' angels, bro. And then right below angels, man, oh god, just honestly makes me sick, bro. But it might be the energy drink, huh? It's crazy, bro. And then we have these other beasts, remarkably like us, other mammals, but they, I don't know if, I'm assuming, I'm realizing, so I don't know, but I'm assuming that this great chain of being, I doubt it's like God made angels and then made like men. I mean, yes, he made minerals, but okay. I don't know. I'm assuming that, I think a lot of people have this like intuitive sense of there's like earth. Well, yeah, there's res cogitans, mind stuff, spiritual stuff, God, angels, humans, and then you have flippin' matter stuff. And you can have a hierarchy starting from doing the matter stuff from the bottom, rocks and stuff, plants, and then absolute peak is going to be, I don't know, apes or something. And then like that's the end. That's the earth stuff. Then you look at the spiritual stuff. You have, starting with peak, God, then you have angels, and then you have humans. And there's a fundamental difference between humans, angels, gods, and animals, plants, minerals, right? And it's so stupid because, first of all, you've never seen a fucking angel or a god. And second of all, how do you think that you're more like that invisible flying fucking shit than you are a chimp? That's crazy. You're nuts. Or your friend is, your aunt is, your uncle is, your mother is. Yes, your mother. So everything in its place and everything having its own powers and abilities determined by its place in the chain. And so then within this dumbass chain, we humans are balanced awkwardly between the spiritual realm, inhabited by God and the angels, and the physical realm of fucking physical, incapable of reason and imagination and love and problem solving and whatever. Animals, plants, and minerals. I mean, some of those do really struggle with problem solving. Anyway, so we possess these immortal spiritual souls and are capable of reason, love, and imagination, but we're also susceptible to physical passions. But then also, isn't like passion itself like a spiritual thing? Kind of, isn't that kind of how it's classified in our minds? But then things like maybe, and even pain, right? We're like, oh, do animals experience pain? You fucking idiot. Hunger, definitely hunger. We're like, oh, but do they really experience hunger, or do they just mindlessly eat? You piss me off, and I'm so distracted by my hatred for you right now. But anyway, so we're also like part of this realm because we're like tied. So not fundamentally, essentially, again, according to this bullshit, because I don't want someone scrolling to this video and going, oh no, another full of shit pastor. Okay, so I'm going to be saying stuff. It's bullshit stuff, okay? So in this great chain of being, I think like our souls, we don't have souls. We are these magical souls. And then we're in this physical vessel. I don't know. This is kind of shaping how he's describing it. Because I'm assuming that the great chain of being is going to be very similar to the intuition that many of us have today about our place in existence and so on. But anyway, so then we tend to think of ourselves as souls. Can you turn the fan up? Oh my gosh, it's hot flash. We see ourselves as these souls, magical things, essentially.
Is that the fastest?
No. But then, in order to I don't even know what the fucking reasoning is for why we have these physical bodies. It's so mindless and stupid. And so common. I'm existing in the past and I'm trying to get past it. But I'm very distracted and overwhelmed by how stupid we are. For whatever reason, we see ourselves as being fundamentally these magical essences that for whatever reason have to be inside these physical bodies that we don't actually need, because then we're going to go in the afterlife and be completely our normal selves, and also look like this body, but also not have this body. And we're going to have desires. Or in heaven, do you not experience pain, hunger, or any kind of sexual desire? But then you do experience love? But isn't just love like a reason to have sex and take care of your partner? I mean, not to have sex, but kind of. Ugh. Anyway, so, yeah. So it's not us. See, this is what I want to push back against. I don't know if, and maybe people disagree. People subscribe to this great chain of being. Maybe they disagree. But I would suspect that some people, at least, who subscribe to this bullshit, think of humans as fundamentally a part of the spiritual realm, but tethered through bodies to the physical realm, but not really belonging to it, not really being of it, just being connected to it through these physical bodies, okay? Anyway, so then Descartes was like, you know what, rather than gods, angels, humans, animals, plants, and minerals, let's just do spiritual realm, physical realm. Res cogitans, mind stuff. Res extensa, matter stuff. And I think it pretty much, spiritual realm and mind stuff, pretty much, okay. This sweeping simplification of nature's big picture brought with it many new problems. There was the metaphysical problem of how the two domains could ever interact. A question which has framed investigations of consciousness, for better or for worse, and largely for worse, Seth writes, ever since. It is so dumb. It is so dumb. This idea that we are this like magical soul consciousness and we're never like, wait a minute, and then how does it interact with the body? So if my magical will wants to move this hand, how does it do that? How does it get these muscles to contract? It's supposed to be acetylcholine or something, lands in the receptors of the nerves of the muscles, and that's how that leads to contraction. But what's then sending the acetylcholine? Okay, well, it's supposed to be like neurons from the motor cortex, you know. Okay, well, what's telling those neurons to do that? Well, you would think it's all their neurons, because the only way to activate those neurons is for neurotransmitters to land in their receptors. So how is this soul thing making neurotransmitters and putting them in the receptors? And once you start to picture it, you're just going to realize you're looking at more neurons, bro. Hence, cellular soul. And I really like this sentence, but it is kind of a clumsy sentence. It's hard one to read correctly. This sweeping simplification of nature's big picture brought with it many new problems. There was the metaphysical problem of how the two domains could ever interact, a question which has framed investigations of consciousness ever since. And now I'm going to throw in the other clauses into between framed investigations of consciousness and ever since. In fact, nope, I'm going to move ever since earlier into the sentence. Great. Okay. So there is the metaphysical problem of how the two domains could ever interact, a question which has framed investigations of consciousness ever since, for better or for worse, and largely for worse. There were disruptions, too, to the fine-grained ordering on which political and religious authority depended. If animals had elements of res cogitans, of spirit, of mind stuff, any signs of minds, what was to prevent them from aspiring to the spiritual realm, as humans could? Can dogs go to heaven? And any attempt to intellectually investigate the soul, as Descartes seemingly advocated, was sure to annoy the powerful Catholic Church. And you don't need the Catholic Church to maintain fucking stupidity, bro. I mean, I know plenty of non-religious people who are like, oh, you know, I'm an energy frequency. Oh, I'm a quantum soul. Descartes always played his cards carefully with the church, going as far as attempting to prove the existence of a benevolent God in his third and fifth meditations. When it came to non-human animals, it is often claimed that he thought they lacked consciousness entirely. Although it is hard to be sure, this was probably not his view. Footnote, Descartes had a pet dog called Monsieur Gras, with a T, not with an S. Gratter, that means to scratch. Gras with an S, that means fat. It's Mr. Scratch, not Mr. Fat. Descartes had a pet dog called Monsieur Gras, to whom he was apparently extremely devoted. Then again, he also vivisected rabbits. Do you have something to say to me?
He did what with rabbits?
Vivisected them, like cut them open. Maybe is that spreading them? I don't really know what vivisection is actually. Oh, but viv typically means life. So cutting them while they're alive? So then again, he also vivisected rabbits. That's not the page, that's a footnote. Okay, Descartes' primary claim about non-human animals was that they lacked souls and all the rational, spiritual, and conscious attributes that came along with having a soul. Excuse me. The historian Wallace Shug summarized his views on the matter like this. The bodies of both man and beast are merely machines that breathe, digest, perceive, and move by means of the arrangement of parts. But only in man does reason direct bodily movement to meet all contingencies. Only man gives evidence of his reason by using true speech. Without minds to direct their bodily movements or receive sensation, animals, excluding humans, must be regarded as unthinking, unfeeling machines that move like clockwork. Let me remind you that this paragraph is called, so this book is called Being You, and this, not paragraph, chapter is called Being a Beast Machine. Okay, my dad recently said to me, trying again to explain this stuff to him, he goes, "Oh no, the brain isn't just a machine. We're not just machines." What do you mean? What do you think a machine is? A machine is interacting parts, interacting towards some goal or doing some operation. And that's what we are, bro. Show me something else, bro. Oh, here's an article about quantum mechanics. That's not showing me anything else. That's wishful thinking, bro. I want to be spiritual and magical, and the closest thing I can imagine to that is quantum entanglement, because, that seems magical. I'm that. Bit of a simplification, but not unfair, I don't think. So, the historian Wallace Shug describes Descartes, summarized Descartes' views. I don't think we're talking about Descartes, so I think it's summarizing Descartes' views, not Mr. Shug's views. I'm going to read that again. I hate it so much. It should speak to you. We all have this intuition. And it's horrible, and I hope that when I read it again, you're going to notice another thing that's like, oh yeah, that is dumb. All right? The bodies of both man and beast are merely machines. The bodies of both man and beast are merely machines that breathe, digest, perceive, and move by means of the arrangement of parts. So the brain isn't more body, right? I mean, we have to stop all this nonsense. Body, because sometimes when we're talking about body, we're talking about physical. So we talk about body and mind. But wait a minute, the mind is the brain. The mind is physical. The brain's physical. So it's periphery and central, or it's, the thalamocortical circuits of the brain, and then the rest of the physical stuff. But either way, it's all body. It's all physical. It's mind and rest of body. It's mind and mindless body, except no, because there kind of are minds throughout here. I'm this one. I'm the one talking. But my gut's kind of a mind. My whole immune system's kind of a mind. I don't identify with it. That's not me. I'm the one that has nerves to the mouth that does language. It's boom, okay? All right, so sorry. Okay, let's go. The bodies of both man and beast. The bodies of both man and beast are merely machines. They breathe, digest, perceive. Like how do you include that? And move by means of the arrangement of parts. Just fucking gears, cause and effect. But only in man does reason direct bodily movement. Okay, so you said move. Bodies move by means of the arrangement of parts, but then also reason directs bodily movement, and reason is supposed to be like a spiritual thing. Only man gives evidence of his reason by using true speech. I mean, it's not like I don't get it all why we have this dumbass intuition. Yeah, we see us having these conversations, and we don't see rocks having conversations. We don't see other animals having conversations that we understand. So we're like, oh, okay, we're so special. But then it's like, wait a minute, you've never heard of birds, bro? Without minds to direct their bodily movements or receive sensation, animals must be regarded as unthinking, unfeeling machines that move like clockwork. And this is what's so stupid about the philosophical zombie. You're saying that there is this mindless thing that's indistinguishable from a human being? What do you mean? Then it has a mind, bro. It's doing all this stuff. It's processing its environment without experiencing its environment. What do you think experience is except for processing? In this view, the flesh and blood properties of living beings, their nature as organisms, are entirely and explicitly irrelevant to the presence of mind, consciousness, or soul, whatever that may be. Let's read this sentence again. In this view, Scharg's depiction of Descartes' view. In this view, the flesh and body properties of living beings, their nature as organisms, as cells, as physical things, are entirely and explicitly irrelevant to the presence of mind, consciousness, or soul, whatever that may be. Non-human animals are best thought of as Bettmaschinen, beast machines. In English, beast machines. In the Cartesian picture, the division between mind and life is as sharp as that between res cogitans and res extensa. Okay, by life, because that's not good, the way this sentence is, I don't think, because people who believe that like humans are special of the spiritual realm often talk about like differentiate living things from like rocks. So sometimes they'll put maybe all living things in the spiritual realm in a more animistic view, right? And so like what's the difference between a rock and a living thing? There has to be some magical life force, right? And so there was a big debate back in Crick and Watson and I'm sorry, the woman days, you know, what makes life possible? And Crick, Watson, and I'm so sorry, and the woman, Rosalind Franklin, right? Crick, Watson, let's put Franklin first, bro. Let's do it alphabetically, bro. Crick, Franklin, and Watson are like, actually, there isn't this magical life stuff. It's these amino acids arranged in a certain way. Right? Amino acids, right? That's what DNA is made of. Whatever. Arranged in a certain way, and those are like instructions by which things move around and do shit. Okay. So there are things that are alive, that have the magical life force, turns out to be DNA. And then there are things that are not alive, that have no such magical life force. So if we think of life as that in that way, then mind and life are on the same plane. So what he means by life here is not that stuff, but just like physical functioning. The eating, the pain stuff, So in the Cartesian picture, the division between mind and life is as sharp as the difference as that between res cogitans and res extensa. By reinforcing the specialness of humans, because now we're reading stuff I haven't read yet, by the way. We're on page 180. What did I do with my pen, bro? No. By reinforcing the specialness of humans, Descartes was able to placate many of his would-be prosecutors. but a dangerous door was now ajar. If non-human animals are beast machines, and if humans are a kind of animal too, humans after all certainly seem to be made of the same sort of flesh, blood. No worries, bro. They might not even be able to hear it. What is that?
A bolt fell out of, it's a washer, and a bolt
Okay.
fell out of the lawnmower. I'm trying to, and then it's got like a knob. There's a knob that's screwed on. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Uncle on that. Just wait for you to finish crinkling the plastic. Hey, babe, do you think you can do this outside or something? It seems like you're having a whole conversation with yourself, and I want to get back to it. Or you can figure it out silently. I don't know. Sweet. Appreciate it, bro. So, by reinforcing the specialness of humans, Descartes was able to placate many of his would-be prosecutors, the Catholic Church. But a dangerous door was now ajar. So, if non-human animals are beast machines, and if humans are a kind of animal too, I mean, humans after all certainly seem to be made of the same sort of flesh, blood, cartilage, and bone, then surely the faculties of mind and reason should also be explicable in mechanistic, physiological terms. You know what just scared the hell out of me? What if I missed the first 20 minutes? I haven't even checked to make sure I was actually live. I will have its that will liver. Oh, good, thank gosh. But just YouTube just doesn't want to show it to anybody. One view. It's all right. No worries. No worries at all, bro. Okay. Because I'm putting the time in, and I'm still making progress, bro. And people can look back in the future. When there's a book like this and a paragraph like this about me, they won't need fucking Wallace Shug to summarize. There'll be hundreds of thousands of hours of video footage that they're not going to look at. But that's all right. So, if non-human animals are beast machines, and then humans are a kind of animal too, humans after all certainly seem to be made of the same sort of flesh, blood, and cartilage and bone, well then surely the faculties of mind and reason should also be explicable in mechanistic physiological terms. If non-human animals are beast machines, and if humans are a kind of animal too, then surely the faculties of mind and reason should also be explicable in mechanistic and physiological terms. So this is the dangerous door, but the very good door. I thought it was a dangerous door, like I don't really get it. I thought it was going to be like, because he reinforced the specialness of humans, then he was leaving open the possibility that we're magical. But actually, because he reinforced the specialness of an animal-like thing, he's now left the possibility that, wait a minute, all animals, which are physical things, be capable of specialness, which means that specialness, these special features of mind, conscious, soul, reason, love, imagination, might be physical things. What? Okay, I get it. What? You know what else is funny about the quantum thing? Is that I remember one time I got sent an article that cells have hacked life. They figured out, they've like transcended their base like physicality to like think or some weird shit. But then that means that, oh no, it was cells. It wasn't like molecules. I mean, first of all, if it's quantum, couldn't any molecules do it? But okay, let's say that only cells harness something quantum in order to like hack life. Okay, so then like bacteria could be like capable of decision making and like, will and whatever. See, with something like this, with this stuff over here as an explanation for cognition, it's about the quantity and the intricacy of the connections between the neurons. And, well, bacteria don't even have nervous systems, let alone a central nervous system with 86 billion neurons, all boop, 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 connecting, interacting. So I mean, the whole like, cells figured out how to like quantumly become magical, then why are we so much more magical, or why do we have so much more of that stuff that isn't actually magical but that we think of as magical than lower quote-unquote life forms? For me, it's a quantity and arrangement thing. So I guess it can still be a quantity, but then, never mind. Why am I even wasting time on that bullshit, bro? The French philosopher Julien Offray de la Métrie, writing in the middle of the 18th century, certainly saw things this way. He extended Descartes' beast machine argument to human beings, arguing that humans were machines too. L'homme machine. The man-machine. And in doing so, denying any special immaterial status for the soul. An immaterial soul is immaterial, like irrelevant. Denying any special immaterial status for the soul while also questioning the existence of God. And I love when people are like atheist and scientific and stuff, but don't see how incompatible their concepts of consciousness are with their lack of theism and their reliance on empiricism. La Métrie was not one to finesse his arguments for the benefit of religious authority. Fuck them. And so his life rapidly became a lot more complicated than Descartes'. Okay, never mind, sorry. In 1748, he was forced to flee his adopted home in the Netherlands to work for the Prussian King Frederick in Berlin, where 3 years later he died after consuming an excess of pâté. I would love to die that way. Eat a bunch of rillettes and die. I don't want to die. We've got work to do. We're excited about it. While in the Cartesian view, mind and life are independent, for La Métrie, they were deeply connected in the sense that mind could be viewed as a property of life. Even today, discussions rumble on about whether life and mind are continuous or discontinuous in terms of their underlying mechanisms and principles. Can we just like do a fucking purge? Oh, you fucks. Even today, discussions rumble on about whether life and mind are continuous or just discontinuous in terms of their underlying mechanisms and principles. My sympathies in this debate lie with La Métrie, and mine lie with you, Dr. Seth. My sympathies in this debate lie with La Métrie, But rather than speaking in general terms about mind, my focus is on consciousness. This brings us to the heart of my beast machine theory of consciousness and self. This is my first time reading this sentence, and I am giddy right now. Our conscious experiences of the world around us and of ourselves within it happen with, through, and because of our living bodies. Yes, please, and thank you. Our animal constitution is not merely compatible with our conscious perceptions of self and world. My proposal is that we cannot understand the nature and origin of these conscious experiences except in light of our nature as living creatures. Uh-oh. What's that mean for heaven? If you don't have a body, if you're not a living creature up there in the clouds, you ain't shit? Actually, you never were shit, bro. You are shit. Because you ain't shit, bro. Shit, that's tricky, because, underneath the layered expressions of selfhood, involving memories of the past and plans for the future, before the explicit sense of personal identity, beneath the I, and even prior to the emergence of a first-person perspective and experiences of body ownership, there are deeper layers of selfhood still to be found. These bedrock layers are intimately tied to the interior of the body rather than to the body as an object in the world. And they range from emotions and moods, what psychologists call affective experiences, to a basal, formless, and ever-present sense of simply being an embodied living organism. Want me to read that again? Okay. The last two sentences, they are long. The whole paragraph is just two sentences. Okay. I'm going to go pee real quick. So you're going to hear that because I'm going to want to keep you entertained. So I'm going to be reading while I do that. Underneath the layered expressions of selfhood involving memories of the past and plans for the future, before the explicit sense of personal identity beneath the I, and even prior to the emergence of a first-person perspective and experiences of body ownership, there are deeper layers of selfhood still to be found. These bedrock layers are intimately tied to the interior of the body, rather than to the body as an object in the world. And they range from emotions and moods, what psychologists call affective experiences, to a basal, formless, and ever-present sense of simply being an embodied, living organism. We'll start our exploration of these depths with emotions and moods. No, that's it. That's all I want to read for you guys. So that's lots of fun. Get the book. So we read today 178 to 182, and we had a lot of fun with it. I don't even think that was the hand I used to pee. I just rinsed one of my hands, and I'm pretty sure it was not the correct hand. That's all right, bro. My thing-a-linga is not dirty. Ow. That was not an ow from my thing-a-linga, because like I said, it is clean. That was an ow from my ankle. So I'm tired, and I think we've done everything. I want to do some self-esteem stuff. What did I just say? I don't know. So, no, this isn't right. Oh, let's just look at this to say that we did. Everybody, you gotta do this, bro. I mean, I can't say you gotta do this book, but it's crazy. I've been obsessed with the mind most of my life, bro. And wisdom, maturity, okay? Diagnosed with ADHD at 7. I write an essay at 12 for my English class, trying to conceptualize maturity. It wasn't really maturity I was conceptualizing. It was more of intelligence or inner life or experience or something, but it was kind of all stupid, actually, the whole essay. I was basically like, I didn't feel like, I had a friend, and I didn't feel like as much was going on. He was very smart, but so maybe it's not an intelligence thing, or it's a kind of intelligence, I don't know. But just didn't seem like a lot was going on. Of course, I can't see in his head. But yeah, when he would speak, I just wasn't seeing evidence of all this shit. I talk a lot. And I have a lot of different ideas. And I express them. And you know what? It was so stupid. I'm done talking about it, actually. I was so proud of that. And I just realized, oh, wow, okay. I can still be proud of it because it was good for my age, and there may be something interesting in there. Anyway, so and then start learning about the brain at 13, and just totally obsessed, bro. What's my point about that? Oh, so my point was that, and also I had a father who was telling me in some ways that he was telling me that I was very smart, but also that I was kind of no good in some ways, that I was kind of lousy, and that I was wrong about a lot, and well, not wrong as in like my beliefs were wrong. That didn't start until a few years ago. But that the way I interacted with people was just bad, and I thought I was just interacting the way he was. So anyway, my point is that I've spent my life introspecting, trying to anyway. And then I've also had people express things about me that, like dramatically didn't match my experience or my intentions. And so trying to reconcile that, understand that, investigate that. So I've been obsessed, and I've noticed more and more other people aren't really doing this. They're not like working on their minds or exploring their minds, really. They're just out here being minds, doing shit, and really shit. Makes me, I'm a little bit better than, who said know thyself? And then there are people who just do introspection, right? They're just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to tell myself some stories about myself. That's basically what introspection is. Now, the stories you tell might use some actual facts about yourself, but you can't actually introspect. You can't actually look. I can't see the reality of my own mind. So that's why when people were telling me shit about me, and it's not the stories I was telling myself, I was like, damn, are they right? Do they see stuff I'm not able to see? So anyway, I never really trusted my introspection as much as it seems a lot of people do. And so those people think that they know themselves because they feel confident in the stories that they tell themselves about themselves. But what have they learned from psychology and neuroscience? They just know some pop psych. So you got to first know yourself, then you got to work on your mind, bro. You got to work on it, bro. And that's not just by learning. And it's not just by doing. It's by, and I mean like learning, history, whatever. Learning facts about the world is not the most important or fundamental way to work on your mind. Learn about minds. And then practice things based on that learning. Okay. So let me, put my actions, put my ass where my mouth is, put myself where my mouth is and do it. So let's just start just so that we can say that we did. Okay, so Very excited about this. So introduction. I'm going to read some of this, actually. Oh, by the way, a lot of people think of like growth. When they think about growth, they think about improvement. When they think about improvement, they think about going from being shit to going to being acceptable. Okay? Because often when we talk about improvement, we're like, it's broke, we need to fix it, right? So we need to improve that. We have to improve that, okay? Not just that we would benefit from improving that, but we have to improve that. Otherwise, we often don't have an instinct to improve things that aren't causing us problems, okay? But that's the wrong way to see growth, personal growth. It's not about improvement. It's not about becoming acceptable. It's not about no longer being a problem. You're not a problem, baby. You're you. And you can be on a trajectory to develop that you, not to reach the threshold of having the right to live, but of just being able to engage better with life, better and better and better and better and better. Okay? So check out this Galway quote from 1974 that the book starts with that I really like. When we plant a rose seed in the earth, we notice that it is small, but we don't criticize it as rootless and stemless. We treat it as a seed, giving it the water and nourishment required of a seed. And then when it first shoots up out of the earth, we don't condemn it as immature and underdeveloped, nor do we criticize the buds for not being open as soon as they appear. We stand in wonder at the process taking place and give the plant the care it needs at each stage of its development. The rose is a rose from the time it is a seed to the time it dies. Within it, at all times, it contains its whole potential, that life force, that DNA. It seems to be constantly in the process of change, yet at each stage, at each moment, it is as it is. It is whole as it is. Love that so much. So I want to. So it's 150 days. So let's read the introduction. So it starts with a quote from Virginia Satir. We need to see ourselves as basic miracles. Self-esteem is not the only, so back to the author, Glenn Schiraldi. It's Dr. Glenn R. Schiraldi. Self-esteem is not the only determinant of happiness. Certainly, it is one of the most important. The beloved late comedian George Burns observed that most of the things that make people happy, health, marriage, raising a family, self-respect, and so forth, don't just fall into our laps. We have to work at them a little, he said in 1984. And so it is with self-esteem. Like cultivating a garden, building self-esteem involves consistent effort. Especially when we're living in a world with 8 billion people where we're seeing, when we didn't always need to work as hard at our self-esteem because we weren't shown people that are inconceivable times better than we are at certain skills, or getting millions times more attention than we are, and validation than we are. You look at Instagram and or movies, whatever, and basically there is an it that is just constantly delivering, damn, we're not a part of the in-group. Those are the cool kids, and we're not one of them. There's us, the plebes, and there's them, the rich and famous. They are special. They are stars. They have made it. And we're these pathetic We're nothing but potential failures. We don't have what it takes to be up there. That's what is being delivered basically every time you watch famous people. I don't know how loud it is in your head. In my head, I'm starting to realize more and more that it's pretty loud. Especially because as a kid, I was always told that I was going to be one of them. And there's a battle between me. There's a part of me that's like, all right, let's stop being scared. Let's put in the work. Let's believe in ourselves. And let's join the cool kids. And another part of me going, can't I just live, bro? Isn't that all kind of bullshit, bro? Do I really need that validation? Or can I just have my friends and family and be cool? It's a battle, bro, because look, where are my friends and family right now? Now, if I were one of the rich and famous, I'd be having this conversation in a lecture hall. I think. I believe in myself. I'm sorry. I have some self-esteem. And then I have other parts that are saying what you just heard. Why the fuck do you think you'd be up there? And I was responding to them out loud going, I believe in myself. And then I ended up apologizing to them. They were like, you sound stupid. Fucking look at that. You think that people should pay to hear you talk shit? Stop it. I'm not talking shit. Just because it hasn't already been validated doesn't mean it isn't valid, bro. It's a scrimmage, bro. Okay, so remember scrimmage, like a scrimmage between the its. All right. And so it is with self-esteem, that we have to work at it a little. Like cultivating a garden, building self-esteem involves consistent effort. Building self-esteem involves consistent effort. The program described in this book takes approximately a half hour a day, more or less, over a 150-day period. Is this investment worth it? When we consider how great the effect of self-esteem is on mental and physical well-being in both the short and long term, few efforts seem more worthwhile. I mean, there's not a lot of citations here, but, well, that sings. The program you are about to start is the central component of Stress in the Healthy Mind, a course that I developed and taught at the University of Maryland. Okay, some credibility. Also, he is a PhD. Don't know what it's in, but yet, you should just look at that. Just look. That information is available to us. Glenn R. Schiraldi, PhD, has served on the stress management faculties at the Pentagon, the International Critical Incident Stress Foundation, and the University of Maryland, where he received the Outstanding Teacher Award as well as other teaching and service awards. His books on stress-related topics have been translated into 15... That doesn't matter. What does matter is, do you do research? Let's see what the references are like. Okay, let's see. Bibliography. Let's look at this. I want to look at this. It's going to not be the most exciting thing for everybody, but let's read the titles bibliographed. Let's read the biblios. The Medical Value of Psychoanalysis. Stimulus Control Applications to the Treatment of Worry from the, not magazine. What am I trying to say? Not publications. Journal, Behavior Research and Therapy. Rational Responses to 4 of Ellis's Irrational Beliefs. Okay, that's an unpublished class handout presented by the Upledger Institute of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Okay. Healing the Shame That Binds You. Another Floridian thing from Health Communications, Inc. by Bradshaw. Celebrate Yourself, Making Life Work for You. Recognize any of what that's from. Someone called Briggs, though, in the 70s. Well, all of these are like between the 60s and the 80s. Early 90s. I would think that self-esteem research has come a long way since. But that's all right. We're still learned a bunch. Anyway. What really makes men and women attractive? It's from an issue of Parade. Reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression. Combined results of a cognitive behavioral college course. Okay, great. This was from, that's a paper presented at Anxiety Disorders Association of America National Conference in D.C. Not that D.C. matters. I admit, when I'm saying Florida, that's like taking points away from the thing. And then when I say D.C., that adds points. The Perfectionist's Script for Self-Defeat, something from Psychology Today. Dr. Burns' Prescription for Happiness. Is George Burns actually a PhD, or is that doctor not real? Body Appreciation. All right, let's just read the titles of the ones that we think are going to be really scientific, that are research, they appeared in a journal or whatever. So, okay, a presentation at the Association for Humanistic Psychology. We have Developing High Self-Esteem in Yourself and Others. Okay, we have a paper presented at the Mind and Life Institute Conference, Investigating the Mind at Emory University in 2007, called Changing the Brain by Transforming the Mind, the Impact of Compassion Training on the Neural Systems of Emotion. That's an awesome source. Don't know why I'm putting a star by it. I'm not going to look it up and read it. I think I was just getting a little bit discouraged. But let's go back and put a star by that other really scientific sounding thing. The Reducing Symptoms of Anxiety and Depression, Combined Results of a Cognitive Behavioral College Course. And Developing High Self-Esteem in Yourself and Others, which was a presentation at the Association for Humanistic Psychology at their 26th annual meeting in D.C., as I said. Okay, from the American Psychological Association, we have Forgiveness as a Choice, a step-by-step process for resolving anger and restoring hope. Also from the APA, The Forgiving Life, a pathway to overcoming resentment and creating a legacy of love. From the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, 2008, Open Hearts Build Lives, Positive Emotions Induced Through Meditation, Build Consequential Personal Resources. From the journal Cognitive Therapy and Research, from 83, The Enhancement of Self-Esteem, a comparison of two cognitive strategies. Really like another mention of biology of neurons. From the journal Emotion, 2008, A Loving Kindness Meditation Increases Social Connectedness. 1984, from the journal or book, Current Psychotherapies, 1984, Current Multimodal Therapy. From the journal 87, from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, Self-Complexity as a Cognitive Buffer Against Stress-Related Illness and Depression. I wonder whether that relates to what I was talking about us being multiple. Self-complexity. Somehow, maybe if you understand that the self is complex and you develop that, rather than trying to make everything coherent and singular, but you let yourself have these different aspects and you build them, couldn't that act as a cognitive buffer against depression? Couldn't it even act as a cognitive buffer against stress-related illness? Because it's like, okay, I've got these fears, I'm worried about this thing, I feel this urgency, but also I fucking don't. Also, I know that everything's actually fine and I'm just a cellular soul among billions upon billions upon billions of cellular souls, because we can include lots of other species, on one planet in a universe that I can't possibly comprehend, a size of which I can't possibly comprehend. I'm not going to count that one. Anyway, am I going through all of them? Let's go through faster, bro. Just what jumps out as... Okay, 2016. Wow, that's the most recent one I've seen. That's great. So this is from the publication. I think it's I don't know. From the publication, it's a book, Mindfulness and Buddhist Derived Approaches in Mental Health and Addiction. And the article is called, or the chapter, whatever, is called Mindfulness for Cultivating Self-Esteem. All right, it's fine, good. Tired, bro. From 2013, the Journal of Positive Psychology, The Positive Effects of Mindfulness on Self-Esteem. And if you're mindful, if you're being mindful, if you're pausing, assessing, noticing, and then choosing whether or not to engage, but you're just like pausing and being, and you're not, so when these guys, and when any IT team, you can't see that. When any IT team is like, okay, here's the deal, let's ex-liver this. You can't see that, bro. Whatever. When any IT team is like, yo, let's ex-liver this, if you pause, and you kind of reset a little bit, take a moment to be mindful. Where am I? What am I doing? Checking in with my body. You've now taken the mic away from those its and given it to the mindful, the present its, which gives the ambition or the happiness or self-love it's another chance to grab the mic, because it's really, really hard to grab the mic from fear it's. I mean, it's hard to be mindful when you're afraid, right? But luckily, we do, I mean, obviously, not luckily, obviously, of course, we have a really good system of like checking in with our current surroundings. Because even when you're afraid, what's happening around me? You have to do it, right? I don't know whether what I'm saying is bullshit, but it sings to me right now. But, I am out of gas, bro. I'm out of gas. We've been going 3 hours. Okay, and I haven't eaten. Okay, great. So, but so we're give 15 more minutes maybe. So, because I wanna explore that a little bit. So, it's difficult for the self-love it's to grab the microphone from the fear it's. The fear it's are like, get the fuck out of the way. I'm saving our life right now. But the mindful it's, I think, can kind of slip in. Oh, I know you're saving our life, sweetheart. I just want to appreciate what's going on. Just really engage with my surroundings. You know, we got to take in this information so that you can save us. We appreciate you so much. So the fear it's are like, okay, cool. All right, mindfulness, go ahead, bro. Don't take too long, though. It's an emergency, remember. Mindful, no, I'll be quick. I'm just going to 5 things I hear, 4 things I see, 3 things I smell. I'll be quick. Don't worry about it. Hey, self-love, come over here, bro. Come over here. Fear stepped away because fear trusted me to, like, assess the situation so that it could freak out. But actually, come over here, bro. Yeah, absolutely. Come here. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hold on. You trust me, right? Hold on. Let's just let these guys. No, that's self-love. they think there's no problem. How am I gonna save us if you're fucking just chilling like a vulnerable hippie, bro? I have the microphone now. Mindfulness here, and self-love can come in. Is that real? What I just described? Does that play out like that? Maybe. From 1988, from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Pessimistic explanatory style as a risk factor for physical illness. That's huge, bro. Pessimistic explanatory style. When you explain stuff and you're highlighting all the bad stuff that happened, all the negative stuff that explains it. Okay, 20% battery left on my phone. We're almost done. Yo! There's something called Out of the Salt Shaker. I'm not excited about this thing, but I'm excited about where it was published. Out of the Salt Shaker and Into the World, Evangelism as a Way of Life. That was published in Downers Grove, Illinois. I was born in Downers Grove, Illinois, and I met Shirley, my future wife, in Downers Grove, Illinois, when we started going to, when I joined her in 3rd grade at the school she was going to in Downers Grove, Illinois. Evangelism as a Way of Life. I haven't read them, but there have been a couple other Christian sources. We don't think this guy is like that, do we? Damn, where was I? Okay. How about that? Downers Grove. Suburb of Chicago. How many people would you guess live in Downers Grove? 70,000? Can I just look it up real quick, bro? Is that too ADHD of me? Sorry. Or, oh no, it's going to the police department. Downers Grove PD evidence. Oh, right, because I was driving through Downers Grove when I saw a car accident one time. And so I had to send, I had dash cam footage of it. What's going to be my final guess? I think it might be at 100,000. Let's go 95,000. Let's go 95,000. All right, Downers Grove, Illinois. Not at all. 50,000. Which makes it even more special, bro, that to see that in here. 50,000. Wow, I'm surprised. I thought it was more. Okay. I mean, obviously, you knew that I thought I was more. Okay, so from the Journal for Primary Prevention in 2001, Primary Prevention for Mental Health, results of an exploratory cognitive behavioral college course. From Clinical Psychology and Psychotherapy, 2015, a waitlist randomized controlled trial of loving kindness meditation program for self-criticism. Great. So, we're almost done. Phone's gonna die soon. How's my computer doing? 13%. Oh boy. Am I really even streaming right now? Let me quit some shit. All right, let's hurry up, bro. So, one more thing I want to read. Oh, okay. So I hadn't finished reading the introduction. So, this program is the central component of Stress and the Healthy Mind, a course that I developed and taught at the University of Maryland. The course has been found to raise self-esteem while reducing symptoms of depression, anxiety, and hostility among adults 18 to 68 years of age. Although intended for adults, the principles and skills in this book are equally applicable to adolescents and, when slightly simplified, to children. Understanding self-esteem. Why self-esteem? There's no citations here, but I like it, so I'm reading it. Excuse me. How fortunate is the person with self-esteem? There is general agreement that self-esteem is central to good mental and physical health, while self-dislike degrades health and performance. Self-dislike appears to contribute to, with no citations, depression, anxiety, stress and trauma symptoms, psychosomatic illness like headaches, insomnia, fatigue, and digestive tract upset, hostility, excessive or deep-seated anger, dislike and distrust of others, and competitiveness, spouse and child abuse, entering into abusive or unhappy relationships, alcohol and drug abuse, eating disorders and unhealthy dieting, poor communication, for example, non-assertive, aggressive, defensive, critical, or sarcastic styles, promiscuity, dependency, sensitivity to criticism, tendency to put on a false front to impress others, social difficulties such as withdrawal and loneliness, poor performance, preoccupation with problems, status concern, criminality. Bro, why wouldn't Mother Nature have installed into any species that if it thinks that it's shit, to remove itself from the gene pool, to get some psychosomatic illness, some fatigue, makes it less likely they're going to be able to feed themselves, some digestive tract upset. Why wouldn't it make them hostile, distrustful of others, so that then the tribe kicks them out and they die? Why wouldn't Mother Nature want to keep the gene pool clean? Hey, if you think you're no good, I'm going to make sure that you enter into an unhappy or abusive relationship because I don't really want you reproducing. Please go use some substances. Please have an eating disorder. Please unhealthy dieting. Please be bad at communication so that the tribe doesn't want you and doesn't support you. Please have social difficulties. Please withdraw and be lonely out there without your tribe to keep you alive and so that you have no one to reproduce with. Please perform so that they're like, this fucking incompetent guy, get him out of here. Please be a criminal so they're like, this fucking immoral guy, please get him out of here. Right? I have no evidence for this, but just like, it makes sense that it would be good for the survival of a species that members that see that they're bad get the fuck out of there. Now, not everybody with low self-esteem sees themselves as bad. And I don't know if that was ever the case, if there was a good correlation. But I would think now there's even less of a correlation because of that rich and famous stuff I was talking about, that most people, I would suspect, and also because we all have to compete and stuff, and also because we don't spend a lot of time with loved ones. And then time that we do spend, we don't spend much of our lives with loved ones, like a lot of people don't. Unless you spent your whole time in your hometown, and it was kind of small. During most of our evolution was the case. But now, yeah, you're constantly applying to things, getting rejected by things and people that don't really know you, haven't been able to build up a rapport. You feel constantly evaluated, so you're constantly evaluating yourself. There's so much competition that you have to have a really high bar for how you evaluate yourself. It's no wonder self-dislike is called the invisible handicap. Conversely, self-esteem is highly correlated to overall life satisfaction and happiness around the world. All right. Anyway, that's it. All the devices are going to die. Yeah, excellent. Let me just put a starting thing. This was a gift for Sarah, but maybe instead my gift will be doing it. Echo 26. Bravo. Thanks so much for hanging out.